Hello everybody, my name is Hollywood Joe from Hollywood's World of Sports, and I want to come to you today and talk to you about a very important topic that's been on my mind this weekend. Earlier this past weekend, former New York Knick Anthony Mason died of heart failure at a pretty early age, and it makes me wonder if his death could have been prevented, and it's been really making me question whether or not a lot of deaths, young deaths, could be prevented. Any of you that know me know that I love my sports. I'm passionate about sports, and it's like my second religion, as I would say. But another thing I'm passionate about is awareness for heart disease, heart failure, congenital heart disease, because it's an experience thing. I was born with a congenital heart disease condition. I've undergone multiple surgeries on it. And it's ironic that I'm actually talking about this today, considering that it was 25 years ago today that Hank Gathers collapsed on the floor and subsequently died later of what appeared to be heart issues. I think one of the things that needs to happen, and I'm not sure if the government needs to step involved or schools just need to take more of a stand, but I really feel that every athlete, does not matter what sport you play, should all have their heart tested every year. It should be required as part of a physical, because there's so many athletes I've seen that have had problems or are no longer here because it was never tested. Like I said, the biggest one for me as a kid was Hank Gathers. That was the big story back in the day. Reggie Lewis was another one in the early 90s. Even in my home state of Michigan, West Michigan particularly, there was a young kid in high school named Wes Leonard, who was a great all-around athlete, and he was taking his team into the playoffs. It looked like they could have made a run at the state championship, but the final regular season game, he hit the game-winning shot and then collapsed on the floor. A lot of people were devastated by Wes Leonard's loss. The community, the school, the basketball team, the football team, his parents, people he went to church with, just everybody was just devastated. And that's an example of, okay, if heart testing would have been a part of his physical, could they have detected what might have been wrong? This is my view on it. When you start middle school, and if you're playing sports in middle school, that's when it should start. Every year from middle school to high school into college, even when you come into being a pro, if you're that lucky, you should be required to have a physical every year, which most people have a physical every year. But a part of this physical should be some sort of heart test, like an EKG or an echocardiogram. Now, if it were me, it was up to me, I would start with an EKG. It's simple, it's painless, it's very short and quick, but an EKG, and I'm speaking from experience now, they can see a lot. They can determine a lot through an EKG. So this would be my step-by-step process. Get an EKG done. If it comes back normal, nothing to worry about. Okay. If it's concerning, that's when you get an ultrasound or an echocardiogram, whatever the case may be. Go through an echocardiogram, which is probably about a half-hour process. See what it shows up. If it shows that there needs to be treatment and you need to take steps to make sure nothing happens, then take those steps. But it's better than losing your life over. I had a friend in high school who was a great basketball player. Actually, I should say it was in middle school. But we remained friends up until high school and whatnot. But he had a congenital heart condition that was never detected until he was 13 years old, I believe. And he had to give up playing basketball because he went to the doctors and got checked out. And you could tell when he was on the court the last few times he was, not normal by any means. So he went and got tested, found out that he had a congenital heart defect. Had to give up playing sports. And I know a lot of these athletes, that's probably why they fear going to the doctors and getting this type of stuff tested out, because they don't want to lose that passion. They don't want to lose what they love doing. But you got to ask yourself, is it really worth risking your health and well-being and possibly losing your life over? I'd even go a step further and even say, when you get to your 40s, 50s, somewhere around there, it should be required that you have heart testing done every year as your physical. I don't agree. I don't think that government should get involved and say that it has to, but I do think insurance companies need to make that a condition, of covering physicals, because there's so many young people out there that probably do have congestive or congenital or some type of heart failure out there, and they don't know it because they're not being tested. And just think if an EKG, a simple EKG, was a part of your physical. Well, look at how much could be prevented by that. People need to take the steps and prevent them from having long-term health problems or even losing their lives. Like I said, just hearing about the Anthony Mason thing really made me think about it, knowing that I think it's the 25-year anniversary of Hank Gather's, dying. Really has made me think about all this. I look at a prime example of a guy that, got treated and took care of himself. And that'd be NASCAR driver Brian Vickers, who discovered he was having blood clots due to a heart issue that he was having. And I think about it from this perspective. What if Brian Vickers wouldn't have gotten treated and wouldn't have discovered he had a heart issue? What if he would have been in a race, driving a car, and he had a heart attack while he was driving the car, and something happened? Not only did he put himself in danger, but he would have put the other 42 drivers in danger with a possible wreck or something of that nature. So I applaud Brian Vickers for getting his heart surgery and following up on his health. People seem to take that for granted, especially those who think they're healthy. I could go on about stories I've heard, stories I've seen, stories I personally know about people who didn't get checked out and then ended up having something bad happen to them. You know, like I said, somebody who has had congenital heart disease his whole entire life, it's not something you want to mess around with. It's something you want to take care of. It's something you want to monitor and get checked up on because it's important. It's very, very important. And like I said, I think all athletes, no matter what the level they're at, need to have a heart test be done to them as part of their physical to be approved to play their sport. Like I said, it doesn't matter if it's basketball, baseball, hockey, you know, the UFC, pro wrestling, soccer, tennis, bowling, NASCAR. I'll name every sport. It does not matter what sport it is. Everybody, and I mean every athlete out there, needs to be tested at least once a year. I'm just putting that out there. And like I said, I'll even go beyond the athletes of the world. When you get to a certain age, you should be tested yearly. Because a lot of it, you know, people get into their start getting into their 40s and whatnot, and then they start experiencing problems. Maybe from past activities, maybe from past habits. But a stand needs to be taken, and this needs to be, people need to be aware that this is an ongoing problem. You know, Anthony Mason, you know, isn't the only one that this has happened to. He comes to mind because he's a name. You think of Hank Gathers because he's a name. Think of Reggie Lewis because he is a name. It happens to everybody every day. Pro sports, college sports, high school sports, middle school sports, amateur sports, happens all the time. And the healthcare system, the government maybe, all the professional organizations, college organizations, and the high school and middle schools, they all need to take a stand on this and prevent more, you know, more tragedies from happening, because they can be prevented. Even if it means never playing a sport again, you still have your life. And you know, it's something, like I said, I've been passionate about for a while. And you know, let me know what your thoughts are on this subject are. I'm really curious to hear what people have to say about it, because it's a very, very touchy subject, very passionate subject. Some might even say it's controversial, but that's what I'm all about. You know, controversy doesn't come without criticism. That's what I'm about. So, with that being said, you know, my name is Hollywood Joe from Hollywood's World of Sports. Your source for all things sports and sports opinions. Let me know what you think. Let me know if, you know, this is something you're struggling with personally and you need some advice, because like I said, I have been through 3 open heart surgeries and live with congenital heart disease every day. So, take care, guys. Be well, be safe, be healthy, and take care of yourselves. Signing off, again, Hollywood's World of Sports, where controversy doesn't come without criticism.